Dirty hands, racing heart. Discover how a homeless man, mocked for food, was a legend in disguise. Charlie shuffled down the cracked sidewalk, his scruffy beard framing a face worn by the weight of the world. The townsfolk bustled around him, laughter spilling into the air, their bellies full with anticipation for the harvest festival. Cornbread and apple pie wafted past, teasing his senses. Yet here he was forgotten, an outcast in the town he once called home. As he approached the park, children raced by with painted faces, parents basking in the warmth of togetherness. Charlie's stomach growled, each pang a reminder of his empty belly and lonely nights spent on cold, damp concrete. He picked through a nearby trash can, hoping for a scrap or two. Laughter erupted from a nearby family, dousing him with a deep ache that settled in his chest. He caught a glimpse of their judgmental stares, the whispers, lazy drifter, they called him. But they didn't know they didn't see the hero buried under the layers of grime and grit. Charlie had once fought bravely for this very freedom they celebrated, each scar on his body a testament to his courage. Yet here he was, reduced to scavenging. The festival lights twinkled, casting soft lantern hues on the ground, and his heart raced with a familiar longing for connection. His thoughts abruptly shattered as Sarah emerged from the crowd, a single mother wrestling with her own demons. She had just moved back to town, her apartment on the edge of eviction. Her two young children tugged at her sleeve, eyes wide with hunger and anticipation. As she passed Charlie, something in her heart tightened. Should she spare a few dollars for him, or buy their much-needed dinner? The discomfort of her decision simmered within, thickening the air like the scent of boiled cider swirling in the breeze. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each passing moment, the townsfolk's disdain grew louder, bets being whispered on whether Charlie would dare show his face at the food bank again. It burned Sarah's heart. How could they judge someone they didn't know? Then, a heartbreaking incident occurred. A child fell off a carnival ride, the scream piercing the festive atmosphere. Panic enveloped the crowd. Among the chaos, Charlie rushed forward, his instincts kicking in despite trembling hands. He had been trained to protect. As he reached the child, the townsfolk's judgment faltered, caught off guard by his sudden bravery. The whispers turned into gasps of a W. In that pivotal moment, Sarah felt the burden of her decision heavy on her shoulders. Did she stand idly by, or would she join Charlie in breaking the shackles of prejudice? Around them, a change was brewing. Like the aroma of fresh-baked pie rising from the festival stalls, Charlie stood at a crossroads, feeling the eyes of the community. Hope flickered in his heart, a chance to reclaim his dignity, to be more than just the sum of their judgments. Through the noise, a question rang out, echoing in the stillness. Could he and Sarah turn the tide together for their town, one act of kindness at a time? As the festival lanterns began to glow brighter, so did the possibilities, leaving their futures hanging in the delicate balance of shared humanity. The crowd erupted in a mix of gasps and cheers as Charlie scooped the child into his arms, cradling the frightened little body against his chest. The tension that had gripped the festival began to ease, just a little. The child's mother rushed over, her face pale, but she dropped to her knees next to Charlie, grasping her child with gratitude. "Thank you," she cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. Little by little, people began to take notice. No longer was Charlie just the forgotten man in tattered clothes. He was a hero in that moment. The whispers surrounding him transformed, the memories of his past intertwining with the present. Some reached for their phones to capture the scene, the amount of shame and judgment slipping away like autumn leaves in the wind. Sarah stood frozen for a heartbeat, watching. Something inside her awakened, spurred by both fear and inspiration. Could this be her moment too? As she watched Charlie, a flicker of understanding crossed her mind. It wasn't just about pity, it was about unity. What if she could bridge the divide between them, challenge the perception of her town? Swallowing hard, Sarah stepped forward. "Hey," she called out, her voice cutting through the murmurs. Everyone, look. This man just saved a child. A human being. The clamor settled, eyes shifting from Charlie to Sarah, confusion giving way to curiosity. She felt her heart pounding, her palms sweaty, but she pushed on. He is not just a name or a stereotype. He fought for us. He deserves our respect. More gasps filled the air, but there was a change. Faces turned thoughtful, hearts stirred by Sarah's words. Charlie, still kneeling, felt the warmth of the mother's embrace and the deepening recognition from the crowd. Something was shifting within him too. For the first time in what felt like ages, he tasted the sweetness of hope. He rose on shaky legs, scanning the faces around him, some crinkled with judgment, others softened by understanding. Listen, he began, his voice raspy but steady. I've made mistakes. I'm not asking for your pity. Just don't judge without knowing. We're all fighting our battles. Some of us wear our scars openly, while others hide them. The murmurs continued, but now bore a different tone, conversations sparked by his vulnerability. Some began to nod, their expressions breaking from skepticism into cracks of empathy. Caught in the tide of change, Sarah felt her chest swell. She edged closer to Charlie, grounding herself in the moment, ready to lend a hand. We can make a difference, she said, her confidence building. We start right here, right now, together. And so the beautiful and messy dance of humanity began, an indelible thread of courage weaving its way through hearts that once stood silently apart. The festival continued around them, music played, children laughed, and the rich aromas wafted through the air. But for Charlie and Sarah, it was more than just an event. It was the beginning of their journey to reclaim the lost stories buried beneath layers of skin and struggle. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the park, Charlie's heart felt lighter. Change was happening, and he could feel it in his bones. But could he find a way to maintain this momentum? Could Sarah stand with him against the tide of judgment that still loomed? Charlie looked at her. Vulnerability danced in his eyes. What happens next? He asked, the question hanging between them, filled with hope and uncertainty. And as the laughter and music swirled around them, the future loomed large with possibility, leaving everyone wondering what other secrets the town held and how many lives could still be transformed. The festival buzzed like a hive of excitement, but for Charlie and Sarah, the noise faded into a distant hum. Sarah glanced around at the crowd, taking in the moment, the shifting glances, the gentle encouragement sparking between familiar faces. The weight of her earlier doubts began to lift. Maybe change wasn't just a dream. It could be real, right here, in this small town. Let us talk to people, Sarah suggested. There's so much to say, so many stories to tell. Charlie nodded, but there was a flicker of fear in his eyes. What if they don't want to listen? What if they turn back? She reached for his hand, gripping it tightly. They will listen. You're not just Charlie anymore. You're our hero. His cheeks flushed with the compliment, the word hero tasting strange and sweet on his tongue. They began moving through the crowd, one small step and then another, each movement a challenge against the tide of judgment that once consumed him. People parted to make way, their eyes softening with curiosity. Charlie spotted a young man leaning against a food vendor, fingers poised over his phone, a skeptical smirk plastered on his face. Hey, did you see him leap in there? He sneered at his friends. This town is nuts. Sarah inhaled sharply, feeling anger bubble up. You don't know him. He helped save a child. How could you act like that? The young man turned toward her, surprise crossing his face. Oh, please, give me a break. What's your angle here? Truth, she shot back. You think we're defined by our pasts? We're more than the stories you've been told. Charlie felt a swell of warmth from her words. She was right. He had to share his story, to show the world who he truly was. The crowd, still gathering around them, was shifting again. Whispers sparked like fireflies in the twilight. Let me tell you something. Charlie spoke, his voice steady but passionate. I didn't always live like this. I had a life, a family, a job. But life isn't always kind. I lost everything. But I'm still here, still standing. And every day is a fight for dignity. A woman pushed her way through the crowd, tan skin shining against the sunset glow. You shouldn't have to fight anymore, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Nobody should. We're all just trying to survive. Charlie looked at her, their eyes locking. Her vulnerability echoed his own. We can do better, can't we? He asked, his heart racing. Together? Murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathering crowd. Heads nodded, and hearts began to shift as stories untold started to weave together. Sarah's pulse quickened with every new voice joining in. They continued, now emboldened. This festival is about community, Sarah declared, raising her voice, feeling the energy building. Let us break down our walls. Let us support one another. Charlie added, finding strength in Sarah's fire. Something beautiful was happening. The conversations grew richer, deeper. What had felt so isolating just moments ago was now a chorus of shared struggles and dreams. By the time they turned to leave the festival grounds, laughter and warmth wrapped around them like an old, familiar blanket. As they reached the park's entrance, a heavy silence fell. Charlie paused, looking back at the festival lights sparkling like stars above the crowd. Do you think we can change how they see us? Sarah felt a weightiness settle in her chest. I think we have to try, she said softly. But will they accept us when the spotlight of the festival fades? Their eyes flickered with uncertainty as they stepped away from the crowd, leaving them wondering what would happen next. The future stretched out before them, filled with both promise and trepidation. And just as they began to walk home, a little voice piped up from behind them, asking, will you tell me your story? Charlie's heart raced again, this time not with fear, but with possibility. How far could they go? What could their stories spark in others? Charlie turned slowly to face the young girl, her bright eyes sparkling with curiosity. She couldn't have been more than 8, her blonde pigtails bouncing with each step she took toward them. Behind her, several other children hovered, their expressions a mix of awe and uncertainty. Will you really tell your story? The girl asked, her voice bubbling with innocence. I want to hear how you saved that boy. At that moment, Charlie felt a rush of warmth like sunlight breaking through the clouds after a storm. He glanced at Sarah, her face lit up with an encouraging smile, and he nodded. Yes, I'd love to, he replied, his voice steadier than before. As the group of children gathered closer, he knelt down to meet their height. The festival lights shimmered in the night, casting a golden hue around them. My story isn't just about saving a boy, he began. It's about how each of us, no matter where we come from, can rise again. The children leaned in, captivated by his presence. You see, I once had a home, a family, and a life filled with hopes and dreams. But sometimes, life throws unexpected challenges at you. I lost everything and found myself living on the streets. It was hard and lonely. I had to fight for every meal, just like the heroes in our favorite stories. One boy, his eyes wide with disbelief, piped up, but how did you save him? Was he in danger? Charlie's heart skipped a beat, remembering that fateful day. Yes, he was. One day, I saw a little boy fall into a river. He was struggling. I didn't think. I just jumped in and pulled him out. All that I saw was someone who needed help, young and full of life. The children gasped, their little faces mirroring the astonishment. And we all have the chance to be heroes, Sarah chimed in, her voice filled with passion. You can be a hero in your own way, just like Charlie. Kindness is powerful. The kids exchanged glances filled with wonder. Charlie realized their belief in him. In the story he was starting to weave before them, transformed the narrative. His past no longer felt like a burden. It was a tale meant to inspire. That is so cool. One girl exclaimed, grinning. Can we be heroes too? Absolutely, Charlie affirmed, standing up. You don't need a cape or superpowers. Just a kind heart and the willingness to help others. The gentle wind picked up, rustling the leaves around them, and an unexpected cheer bubbled from the group. They erupted into a chorus of encouragement, repeating his words like a chant. We can be heroes. When their excitement began to settle, Charlie felt a tear form at the corner of his eye, not out of sadness, but a whisper of hope. Now, let us make a pact. Next time, maybe you all can share your stories with someone too? They nodded eagerly, sealing their promise with enthusiastic shouts and hyperactive giggles. Looking back at the park, Charlie realized that this festival was not only a chance for connection, but also a bridge to the unknown futures they all could build. Maybe, Sarah whispered softly to him, this is just the beginning of our story. As they moved to leave, hand in hand with the children buzzing around them, Charlie pondered on how far he had come. What if this moment marked a shift in their lives, a ripple that spread beyond that single night? As they reached the end of the park, the children suddenly stopped, eyes wide and serious. "So what happens next in your story, Mr. Hero?" a boy asked, genuinely curious. Charlie smiled, looking into their eager faces. "The real adventure begins now." But just then, a loud commotion erupted from the direction of the festival. People were gathered at one corner, faces drawn with confusion. A scream pierced the air, and Charlie's heart sank. What had happened now? Would this event turn the tide of their new lives, or plunge them back into fear? He turned to Sarah, worry etched on his face. "I guess the night's not over yet." Charlie's eyes flashed in the direction of the commotion, his heart racing. People were pushing against each other, some were shouting, and a few looked ready to bolt. He could sense the anxiety that hung in the air like a thick fog. Instinctively, he wanted to run toward it, to help, but the kids around him held him anchored in place. "Do you think someone needs help?" the young girl with pigtails asked, her voice laced with worry. The excitement of telling stories now faded into something darker. "I don't know," Charlie replied, scanning the crowd. His gut churned with the thought of someone being hurt. He considered what Sarah had said about being a hero. This was his moment. Without hesitating, he started toward the gathering, urging the kids to stay close. Sarah followed, looking equally concerned. "Charlie, wait," she said, grabbing his arm. There was a mixture of apprehension and admiration in her eyes. "It's okay," he reassured her. "I need to see what is happening." They pushed through the throng of festival-goers, the shouts growing louder. Charlie felt his breaths grow quick and shallow, the pulse in his neck throbbing like a drum. As they neared the front, he could finally see the source of the alarm. A young man lay on the ground, holding his arm, face twisted in pain. "What happened?" Charlie shouted, kneeling beside the young man. "It's broken. I think I fell while trying to show off on my skateboard." The young man gasped, struggling to catch his breath. Around them, others had begun to pull out their phones for help or to document what happened. Voices mingled in concern, but no one seemed to know what to do. Charlie felt the weight of the crowd, the fear binding them. Just like before, he sensed their hesitation. "Someone call an ambulance," Sarah shouted, her voice slicing through the chaos. Charlie took a deep breath, channeling the bravery he had miraculously found to save that little boy from the river. He gripped the young man's shoulder. "Hey, you're going to be okay. Just breathe. Help is coming." The pain-filled eyes of the young man shifted to look directly at Charlie. There was confusion, but also a flicker of hope. "Can you feel your fingers?" Charlie asked, trying to keep him focused. "Yeah, I think," he murmured, the strain of his voice evident. "Good. That's good. We're going to keep you calm, all right? You're not alone." Charlie's own heart raced as he locked eyes with Sarah, who gave him a reassuring nod before she moved to grab the EMTs who were near the first aid tent. The children had gathered around, their small faces tight with worry. "Can we help?" the girl with pigtails asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Charlie smiled softly, kneeling closer to them, stroking the young man's hand. "Just keep talking to him, okay? Let him know he's not alone." The children whispered words of encouragement, their innocent voices merging into an unexpected chorus of support. Another voice from the crowd chimed in. "Back up, please. Give him some space." As the sirens wailed in the distance, Charlie felt a swell of determination rise within him. They were in this together. Maybe this moment could stitch fear into courage once more. Before the ambulance arrived, he turned to the young man, still fighting to breathe. "You're going to be all right. Just hold on. You're a fighter." But just then, a shout erupted from the back. "Hey, wait. What is going on?" This was supposed to be a festival. Glancing back, Charlie spotted an angry figure pushing through the crowd, eyes narrowed and fists clenched. Could this be another challenge waiting just as they began to breathe hope? Charlie felt a jolt of anxiety surge through him again. What new trouble was on the horizon? The adventure of the night might just have its hardest lesson waiting in the shadows. The angry figure stepped forward, voice booming as he pushed people aside. Charlie's heart sank. The man's fury seemed directed at the scene unfolding before them. "What do you think you're doing?" he shouted, eyes ablaze. "This isn't a show. People are actually hurt." The crowd murmured, shifting uncomfortably. Charlie's instincts buzzed with tension. There was no time for this. The young man on the ground was still in pain, still needing comfort. "Just please give us a moment," Charlie called out, trying to steady his own voice amidst the chaos. "We're trying to help him." The man stopped, eyes narrowing as he assessed the situation. Charlie caught a glimpse of fear mixed with anger, perhaps a reminder of a time when everything felt out of control for him too. But that didn't matter now. What mattered was the boy lying on the concrete, clinging to Charlie's words. "Why are you all just standing there?" The man glared at the spectators who had momentarily forgotten their own panic. "Get out of the way. Someone call for backup." Just then, the wailing of sirens grew closer, cutting through the unrest like a knife. Relief washed over Charlie as the light from the approaching ambulance flickered against the faces that surrounded him. Okay, the man finally shouted, eyeing them with more sympathy now. "Looks like help is coming." He turned to the young man on the ground. "You're going to be all right, kid. Just hold on." At that moment, Charlie realized the man wasn't just angry. He cared. It was easy to forget that everyone in the crowd had their own story, their own burdens. "Hey, can you hear me?" Charlie leaned closer to the young man, squeezing his shoulder again, grounding him. "Just keep breathing. Help is almost here." Yeah, the boy looked up, his face still pale, but there was a hint of gratitude in his eyes. "Thank you." "Don't thank me just yet," Charlie replied, his voice soft but steady. "We're getting through this together." As the ambulance came to a halt, paramedics spilled out, ready to take control. Charlie stepped back, heart flickering with hope and anxiety. He felt like he had done something worthwhile. Maybe he was getting a little closer to being that hero Sarah talked about. But it wasn't over yet. The angry man was now watching the paramedics like a hawk, his demeanor changing from fury to intensity. "What is your name?" the man asked, turning to Charlie. "Charlie," he replied, clutching his hands together. "Charlie, you've got guts." The man nodded, a reluctant admiration glowing in his eyes. Most kids wouldn't have the heart to help a stranger. Charlie's cheeks flushed with warmth. "I just did something right." The man grinned, shaking his head. "You know, sometimes it's the homeless who see the real moments, and you're lucky." "What do you mean?" Charlie asked, puzzled. "Just know that sometimes it's not about having everything. It's about how you choose to see the world." The man's voice softened, a heavy yet hopeful tone weaving through his words. "Anyway, catch you around." He stepped back, disappearing into the crowd, leaving lingering questions behind. Charlie stood there, feeling the burden lift slightly. But there was something more, something that hinted at an untold story embedded in that brief encounter. "What just happened?" Sarah asked, her brows knitted together as she approached. "I think I just met someone who knew more than he let on." Charlie stared into the distance, thoughts bubbling with curiosity. "Do you think we'll run into him again?" Sarah asked, glancing back at the thinning crowd. "Maybe," he said, the adrenaline still pulsing in his veins. "I sure hope so." As the night continued, Charlie felt something deep within him shift, a curious longing tugging at the edges of his mind. What other stories lay hidden in the shadows of that festival? Would he find more legends waiting just beyond the next moment? As he turned back to the scene, he knew there was more to uncover, and he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The sirens faded into the night, replaced by the low hum of voices drifting through the crowd. People began to disperse, the urgency of the moment ebbing away. Charlie stood by, slick with adrenaline, watching as the paramedics took over. They were efficient, their calmness a stark contrast to the chaotic energy he felt inside. "Are you okay?" Sarah's voice pulled him back. She looked worried. Charlie nodded, but uncertainty gnawed at him. He could still see the boy's pained expression, the gratitude in his eyes. It hung like a weight in his chest, reminding him that some moments etched themselves into our memories and left a lasting impression. I don't know. I just feel like I need to do more," he admitted, glancing at Sarah. "More? Like what?" she asked, tilting her head. "Find that man. The one who what? Scared everyone?" Sarah interrupted, a hint of sass in her tone. "Not scared. He was protective. Passionate," Charlie replied, the words tumbling out before he could catch them. "He saw something in me, you know? Like he believes there's more to this world than just this." Sarah sighed, her face softening. "I get it. The world can feel heavy sometimes. But let us not go chasing strangers in the night, okay? It's late." "Chasing?" Charlie smirked, still absorbed in thought. The memory of the man's words reverberated in his mind. There was wisdom there, layers beneath his anger. Something pulled at him, a flicker of curiosity ignited by that brief interaction. "Fine, we can head back," he teased, glancing towards the crowd one last time. As they walked away, Charlie stole glances over his shoulder, searching the faces for any sign of the man who had stirred something in him. The festival lights twinkled above, casting a magical glow over the streets. Yet his thoughts remained wrapped around the man's fiery spirit. Later, when they finally reached the last traces of the festival, Charlie couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, thoughts racing. What if that man had a deeper story? What if he was a forgotten hero in his own right? Suddenly, the enormity of the night washed over him, and he felt small against the backdrop of larger lives unfolding in the shadows of the city. He pulled out his phone, the screen illuminating the darkroom. He opened a search engine, typing in every keyword that crossed his mind: homeless heroes, lost stories, recognizing the unseen. Hours blurred together. Every article, every tale he stumbled upon kindled a fire within him. There was something special about each of those stories, something he desperately wanted to capture. Charlie's resolve solidified. I have to do something, he whispered into the empty room, needing to act, to make a difference. Just as sleep threatened to claim him, his thoughts veered back to the man's words. How many legends were tucked away in corners, waiting to be discovered. The next day, Charlie gathered his courage and picked up the phone. He needed to reach out, find the stories lurking just beyond his grasp. Hello? A voice answered, and Charlie could almost hear the unease. Can I help you? Yes, I want to learn more about the forgotten heroes in our city. He paused, feeling the weight of what he was about to embark on. Who knows? Maybe I can find something extraordinary. But as words formed in his mind, another thought pierced through. What if he didn't just want to uncover their stories? What if he became a part of that legacy himself? It was then that Charlie knew he was stepping onto a different path, one filled with possibilities and uncharted territory. And little did he know, the very man he sought was closer than he thought. Charlie? Sarah called out from the hallway, breaking through his thoughts. What are you doing up so late? Just discovering, he murmured, a smile creeping onto his face. The wheels were set in motion, and maybe, just maybe, the answers he sought would come to him sooner than he expected. But what would Charlie uncover when he chased those stories into the city's depths? Would he be ready for the truths he might find there? The day dawned bright, sunlight streaming in through Charlie's window, yet he felt anything but rested. Energy buzzed beneath his skin as he set out on his new mission. Sarah had already left for a morning meeting, allowing him some alone time to let his thoughts untangle. As he walked through the city streets, he could see it anew. The hustle of vendors setting up their stalls, the laughter of children playing, and the distant sound of a bus rumbling past created a symphony of urban life. The faces he passed were steeped in purpose, each person with their own story, their own battle. What was he really searching for? Charlie's first stop was a local community center that provided meals and resources for the homeless. Its doors were weathered, but colorful murals splashed across the walls promised hope. Taking a deep breath, he pushed inside. The scent of fresh coffee folding around him like a welcoming embrace. He approached the front desk, where a kind-faced woman was checking in visitors. Hi there. I'm looking to learn about the services you provide and the stories of people here, he said, unsure of how to frame what he truly sought. She looked up, curiosity mingling with caution in her eyes. Stories? She echoed. We've got plenty. Depending on who you ask, every person here is a hero in their own right. Encouraged, Charlie explained his intentions, the need to reveal their experiences to the world, and he felt the warmth of understanding blooming between them. I'd love to connect you with someone who has been here a while, she said. James has a lot to share. As she called for James, Charlie's heart raced. Maybe this was the moment. The moment to uncover the wisdom wrapped in struggles, the narrative of resilience incubated in hardship. A lean older man with graying hair and a worn denim jacket approached Charlie, tilting his head with a skeptical smile. So you want stories, huh? He said, voice gravelly yet good-natured. More than that, Charlie replied. I want to share the truth. About the real heroes out there. James squinted as if sizing him up. You might be surprised what truth looks like from this side of the road, kid. As they settled into a small corner table with coffee, James started sharing anecdotes, each word weaving a vivid image in Charlie's mind. The lives of the people he had once walked past so casually suddenly took shape as powerful tales of survival, love, loss, and hidden valor. Charlie listened, his fingers itching to write it all down. Each name and every story began stitching together a tapestry that captivated him. Laughter and tears blurred into one, revealing histories majestic and painful. "So what is the most heroic thing you've seen out here?" Charlie asked, buoyed by excitement. James thought for a moment. "Well, one time, a kid in trouble got surrounded by some punks. Everyone else froze. They thought they were just watching a fight. But one of our guys, Danny, he jumped right in, fists flying. Didn't he care about the odds? Just wanted to protect a stranger." In that moment, Charlie felt the rush of his heart echo those stories. What lay beneath the surface mattered. Each struggle encapsulated resilience, a silent battle fought daily. "Danny?" Charlie leaned in. "Is he still around?" James shook his head, a shadow crossing his face. "You'll find his spot every night, just like he's a legend. But people don't see the legend when they see the man who's hungry." The words hit Charlie hard. What if legends lived next to us, disguised by society's neglect? As he drank in this knowledge, he knew he couldn't keep it hidden. "What do you think makes a hero?" he asked, the question and urgency hanging between them. James smiled, a twinkle in his eye. "You figure it out, kid. But sometimes, it's the dirt under the fingernails that tells you who really fights." Charlie felt a rush of anticipation. Something profound was shifting within him. This wasn't just storytelling. It was a movement. Gathering stories like treasures, he could give voice to those who felt invisible. But just then, the door swung open, and a commotion arose. Charlie's heart pounded. Was it Danny? Perhaps the very man who had sparked everything inside him? He turned, ready to dive into a revelation that could change everything. But would he be prepared for what lay ahead? The door swung wide, a gust of wind trailing in behind it, carrying the chatter of the street and an electric sense of anticipation. Charlie leaned forward, straining to catch a glimpse of the newcomer. His heart kicked against his ribs, desperate to unveil the face of the man rumored to be a hero. A young woman stumbled in, her voice rising above the chatter. "I'm telling you, he was right there." She spoke with urgency, her eyes darting around the room, almost searching for confirmation. James leaned back, eyebrows furrowing. "What has got you all riled up?" The woman caught sight of James, and relief washed over her features. "Danny, I swear he's alive. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. I just saw him." And she hesitated, grappling with her words. "Was he fighting?" Charlie interjected, feeling a rush of hope flare within him. No, he was helping." The woman shook her head, clearly flustered. "There was this kid, maybe 10 or 11. Some guys were messing with him, and out of nowhere, there's Danny. He just came out of the alley like a bat out of hell. I thought he was a ghost." Charlie's excitement surged. "What happened? Did he get hurt?" She waved her hands dismissively, as if brushing away the idea. "No, he just stood there, arms crossed, And those punks like they turned to stone. They just walked away." "Was he clean?" Charlie asked, almost afraid of the answer. "Clean?" she echoed. "Not really, but it didn't matter. It's like he owns the place. Why no? The whole street. People believe in him." As she spoke, a light ignited inside Charlie. This was the man he wanted to find, the legend he needed to uncover. "Where did you see him?" he pressed, his mind racing faster than his heart. "He's usually by the library. He hangs around there at night." She paused, catching her breath. "They say he knows everyone's name, even the kids who rarely come by." "Thanks," Charlie shouted, the words spilling out as he jumped to his feet, adrenaline charging through his veins. He glanced at James, whose face held a mixture of pride and caution. "Just be careful, kid," James said, his gravelly voice like gravel over silk. "Not everyone's ready to see the truth, especially about Danny." Charlie nodded, more determined than ever. He knew the streets were filled with shadows, but perhaps Danny was the beacon he needed. With a quick goodbye, Charlie rushed out of the community center and into the bustling streets. His feet pounded against the pavement, each step propelling him closer to the library. He weaved through pedestrians, feeling alive with purpose. The air buzzed with potential. Today he would find Danny. As he approached the library, the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the buildings, creating long shadows on the ground. Charlie felt a thrill run through him. The anticipation sharpened his senses. What would Danny be like in reality? Would he be as fearless as James described? Just then, he spotted a small group gathered at the entrance of the library. As he got closer, He could see them watching a man seated on the steps. He hesitated, breath caught in his throat. There he was, Danny. The man had unkempt hair, a beard flecked with bits of food, and clothes that looked like they had never seen a wash. Yet in that moment, there was a raw magnetism about him. People leaned in, hanging on his every word, laughter erupting at intervals like fireworks. Charlie's heart raced. This was the chance, his moment to approach the man who could very well reshape everything he believed. But as he stepped closer, doubt crept in. Would Danny welcome him? Would he share his truth? A voice cut through the anticipation, and Charlie froze, realizing he was so close yet so far from the life-changing encounter he yearned for. Would he be bold enough to take that last step, or would he linger in uncertainty? The stories were waiting to be told, but would he have the courage to listen? Charlie took a deep breath. The air felt electric, heavy with possibility. This was it. He stepped forward, mind racing with questions, heart pounding with anticipation. Would Danny accept him? Would he see the spark of hope Charlie now carried? The laughter from the small group rippled through his heart like music. As he reached the edge of the crowd, Danny's deep voice surged with passion. And that's why I believe everyone here has a hero inside. It's not about how you look or where you sleep. It's about what you do in a moment that counts. Charlie felt an overwhelming sense of kinship, a yearning to connect. His hands trembled lightly at his sides. Just then, Danny glanced up from the group, his dark eyes meeting Charlie's. Something passed between them, a silent recognition that sent a shiver down Charlie's spine. For a moment, he felt anchored, as if he was finally where he belonged. "Hey," Charlie called, urgency bubbling in his voice. "Can I talk to you, Danny?" The laughter dropped, and the crowd parted slightly, curiosity flickering in their eyes. Danny leaned back casually, his surprise morphing into a knowing smile. "Sure, kid. Step right up. What's on your mind?" Charlie stepped forward, his throat tightening. "I'm Charlie. I've been hearing about you, about how you help people. How you're a hero." The laughter fading around them created a cocoon, leaving just the two of them in their newfound space. Danny straightened, curiosity piquing his interest. "A hero, huh? I'm no hero, just a guy who knows a bit about fighting for what's right." "No," Charlie interrupted, his voice steady now. "You don't understand. You are what people need to see. You're more than just a name or a stereotype. You're living proof that bigger stories exist beyond the surface." Danny leaned in slightly, intrigued, the weight of his past etched into the way he held himself. "And what makes you think I want to share that?" "Because," Charlie responded earnestly, "it's time for voices like ours to be heard. We've seen what it's like to be judged without being understood. What if we flip the script? What if we start telling the truth about who we are, not just the people who've been left behind, but those who fight every day?" A silence danced between them before Danny's face broke into a thoughtful smile. "You've got guts, kid. What's your plan?" "I want to share our stories," Charlie declared, his heart racing with both excitement and fear. "I want to show people that we are not just our mistakes. We're heroes in our own right, and together we can build something great from it." The crowd stirred, whispers of agreement floating through the air. Danny regarded Charlie with newfound respect. "All right then, let us do it. But no, it won't be easy. A lot of people don't want to change how they see things. So we start here?" Charlie asked, hope shimmering in his chest. Danny chuckled softly. "Yes. But I want to sugarcoat it. There will be skeptics. You have to be ready to fight for the truth." "I am," Charlie said, feeling the strength of his convictions slide into place. "I want to be a part of making things better." Around them, the crowd began to awaken, shifting from spectators to supporters. Sarah approached, her presence grounding Charlie even more as she gently squeezed his shoulder. "You did it," she whispered, pride lighting her eyes. "You've inspired him already." "Together," Danny said, his voice taking on a commanding tone, "let us show this town what real heroes look like. Let us be the change that everyone talks about, but is too scared to do." Excitement rippled through the crowd like popcorn popping. It was alive. As the night deepened, Charlie could see possibility everywhere, the faces of the people surrounding him, all lit up with dreams and aspirations. They were ready to join him, to tell their stories and stand together against the tide of judgment and misunderstanding. In those moments, lost souls transformed into narrators of hope. Bound by shared struggles, they stepped forward, ready to reshape their town's narrative. Danny stood at the helm, solid and strong, as Charlie took a deep breath and smiled. Realizing the beginning of something monumental was unfolding. As he looked around, Charlie's heart soared with joy. This was just the start. They would show the world that strength lies in their vulnerability, that heroes come in all shapes and circumstances, and that transformation is only a story away. Let us make today the day we begin to reclaim our stories, Charlie called out, and the chorus of voices responded, echoing his declaration into the night sky. And in that moment, amidst laughter, uncertainty, and dreams, the future shimmered ahead like a path, illuminated by the stars of hope and determination. Now, more than ever, the world was ready to listen. So if you're inspired by this tale of transformation, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss the next exclusive stories that could change your perspective on life. Leave a like right this second to feed the algorithm so more people can discover this journey. Comment your thoughts and feelings about the ending below. Your voice matters. And for the love of stories, share this video immediately with 5 friends who need to be reminded that heroes exist in all of us. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait, not even one more second.